to Good Game. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo. Hex, it's not often we get to witness an overnight phenomenon, but the Pokemon Go mobile app has taken over the world.
Oh, Bajo, it's like a zombie virus. Hordes of people gathered together on street corners after dark, shuffling along slowly in a pack, except they're searching for Geodudes and Poliwags instead of brains.
Yes, I think we're going to need a roundtable chat later in the show to discuss what it's all about.
Yes, but first something a little bit more M-rated. It's the psychological experiment of zero-time dilemma.
3 are live, and 3 are blank. 6 to 3 are 50%.
Plus, we dive in and listen closely to the Song of the Deep.
Merrin tried to speak to her, but the Merrow raced away.
Goose is also going to meet up with some Sydney indie devs to talk about how they made their first game, Barking Irons.
But first, what is the game this week and can you name it?
The Zero Escape franchise revolves around a series of psychological horror games that see you trying to solve puzzle rooms and save the lives of the characters in the story.
They have a devoted following, and the latest Zero-Time Dilemma aims to deliver more of its twisted, trademark death puzzles to its fans.
What if the shot is a live bullet?
It's 50-50.
Who killed Mira?
It's locked.
Incineration begins in 20 seconds.
19.
Pull the trigger. Diana, no!
You shut up!
We're trapped? No.
18. 0.
So I feel I need to disclose right up front that this is exactly the kind of horror that I hate. Psychological stuff is the worst.
It's the best! I love psychological horror.
I like creepy monsters, ghosts, cursed videotapes, and basically anything supernatural that I know isn't real. But twisted psychopath masterminds that create torture rooms that slowly kill people off one by one? No, I do not like it and it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Well, this certainly falls into the latter category. In Zero-Time Dilemma, participants in a Mars test facility wake up to find they're trapped with a sadistic mastermind by the name of Zero, who informs them that some of them will need to die for others to survive.
You were wrong, so the game continues.
Until 6 people are dead, huh?
At least 6. It's possible there may be more than that.
Yes, in order for the 9 participants to escape through the X door, you need a special password. But there are only 6 passwords and 1 person has to die for each of those passwords to be released.
The test subjects are divided into 3 groups of 3 and asked to make life or death decisions regarding the other teams that could potentially save themselves.
It'll work. Now none of the teams will have to die.
Yeah, and this is where the psychology of it comes into play. For example, one of the first scenarios you'll face will see each team being asked to vote to kill an entire other team. If a team gets 2 votes, they die.
You can play through this scenario from each of the team's perspectives,
Who knows if Diana will vote the way it says in the note.
or just focus on one team's story.
They could have written it. But maybe Carlos is planning to vote for Q Team instead.
The decisions you make will affect the way that team members interact with each other too.
Why, Diana? Why did you vote for C-Team?
I don't know.
The characters all seem a bit outlandish. Aggressive dudes who jump to conclusions.
The mastermind's right there.
This girl who seems to have forgotten how the zipper works on her top.
Someone's one-night mistake.
A mistake?
And then there's this kid that has a creepy helmet on with no memory of how it got there.
But if we don't do it, doesn't that mean we'll die?
Yeah, it's weird, and they're all being weird. The animations and those slow-moving mouths, it's creepy, and the voice acting.
I don't think the voice acting is necessarily that bad, it's just that the writing is terrible. I think with these kinds of Japanese games, I'm totally on board when it's a funny game or there's that kind of quirky comedy to it, but it just doesn't work here.
Yeah, you have to get on board or not play this, I think.
Every time someone dies,
Also, why do we need to cut to individual reactions of all of the characters every time someone says something shocking? It's that kind of shockiness that I think fans of this series will really love, though.
Over time, you slowly learn that all of these characters have been put here for a reason.
It was because of their support that I could become a firefighter.
And each has a story to tell, which they'll reveal if you can keep them alive long enough.
Don't worry about me.
This is where the real game is for many people, playing through loads of different scenarios and trying to reveal the true backstories of every character.
In order to do that, though, you'll need to get your puzzle on, and these are no small puzzles either. It's basically a game full of complex escape rooms you have to solve on your own with multiple steps and choices to make. How did you find the puzzles?
I thought they were great and varied in difficulty, which was good. It's a bit of a lucky dip as you're picking scenarios at random, and you never know what puzzle scenarios you'll be faced with or what information will be revealed. But like any escape room, there is a procedural element to it all, as one puzzle unlocks another.
Yeah, I enjoyed the puzzles too. I like just being able to focus on those, but then often there's the stress element involved too, with the threat of one of the characters dying some horrific death.
Stuck inside this incinerator.
Then of course, the decisions you're faced with in each situation usually involve picking who has to die.
What if the shot is a live bullet?
Do you really want Diana to end up blowing your head off with her own hands?
There's always some random twisted element involved though, isn't there? Like the one you're choosing to live will actually die, and if you try to save everyone, it usually just ends badly.
Yeah. Characters will try and influence your decision too by presenting you with odds and survival rates,
I'm gonna guarantee Fi's death, as her survival rate would be 0.
or they might try and sway your moral judgment. It all very effectively adds to the stress of every choice you have to make in the game.
And there are countless choices to be made with many different possible variations and outcomes to each scenario. It's a tree of sprawling branches of loads of possible conclusions.
Yeah, you could play this for hours and hours and keep going back and trying new and different rooms. Or making new choices to see how things turn out. I mean, usually they turn out deadly.
I'll be joining you soon.
Wait! Diana! Stop!
Ultimately, I just don't think this is a setting I enjoy, Bajo.
Well, it is twisted, but I think the stakes need to be high for any of these choices to have weight. Games like this are as much an examination of player psychology as they are of the characters in the game.
Very suspicious.
And it's definitely one of those franchises that promotes a lot of discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I like the diplomatic decisions you have to make in narrative games like The Walking Dead, for example. And sometimes those decisions result in casualties, that's part of it. But playing a game like this where you're just faced with one horrifying scenario after another with new and creative ways for characters to die, I mean, I know it's wussy of me, but I just find it all a bit grim.
Maybe you should just play it in shorter bursts.
I don't think so.
What are you going to give it overall?
Well, I thought the puzzles were really challenging, and it required all that great pen and paper scribbling that we love. But this whole twisted setting just didn't appeal to me, plus the characters are so unrealistic and I didn't care about them, so I'm giving this 2 out of 5.
Well, I think the game should be applauded for creating this big multi-branching experience with so many hours of content. And yet the writing and the characters are a bit silly. But if you like tough puzzles with the added stress of horror thrown on top, you'll enjoy this. So I'm giving it 3 stars.
Sorry. I kinda brought the mood down.
Okay, well, it's time for another Good Game Roundtable. Thanks for joining us, Nick.
You are welcome.
We are here to talk about Pokemon Go, the overnight sensation. It's been out for about 2 weeks now. Did anyone predict that this was going to be the phenomenon that it is?
No,
not at all.
Everyone's playing it. There's people in my backyard playing it right now, I
It's
imagine.
crazy, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
I think I knew it was going to be big in the same way that Miitomo was big for a couple of days,
Yeah.
but this is on a scale unlike we have ever seen. I think it's because you are forced to go outside. You're seeing it everywhere.
Okay, well, before we go any further, let's just talk a little bit about what the game is. It's an augmented reality app. It's not even really that much of a game, I would say.
No.
It sort of activates your camera.
Yeah. and-
Google Maps is involved.
Yeah, and it takes you to real world locations, and there are hidden AR Pokemon, and you flick a ball at them and you try to catch
That
them.
appear as if they were in the real world.
Well, they float above the real world a lot of the time.
They're janky, they wobble around a bit. You actually have to go there, which is the biggest thing that's
Yeah.
different from like everything else I've played. You know, you
That's
look on this
right.
map and you go, if I'm gonna play this anymore, I actually have to get out of my house, go around the corner and flick something.
Yeah, so
that was interesting.
it taps into a bit of that hoarding, collecting tendency that people love to cultivate.
That is actually the main thing I like about it. That screen where you see all the Pokemon you've collected and their CP points, it's this white minimalistic flat sort of, I'm like, oh, I could fill that with numbers. They could be all my numbers in there. That's what it's tapping in for me.
Yeah.
What is interesting about it for me is that, you know, they made an app called Ingress. The same company made this very full-featured augmented reality game that I haven't played.
Yeah.
And this is like 1/5 of the functionality, but because it's got that nostalgic vibe to it, that brand name, it's just gone nuts.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm seeing these people on corners and they're all laughing, having a good time, and that's why I installed it, because I'm like, they look like they're having fun and enjoying a nostalgic thing, and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, Poke FOMO.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Cheeky zoom out. Hi, Grant. Look how happy he is.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? Because, you know, we look at Pokemon a lot on Spawn Point, on our show for younger gamers, but it's not kids playing this game.
No.
It's millennials. It's people
Yeah.
who played Pokemon when they were young, and it's all that, you know, original, you know, cast of Pokemon that are in this app that people are going out and finding, the Charizard and the Squirtles and the Pikachu. And
For me, I'm wondering if it's more just tapping into something that people like, the sense of completion that you're going out and finding things. I mean, it's great. Like all the news channels are commenting on like it's so great to see gamers out and getting exercise and that sort of thing. But for me, I wonder whether or not the game itself is actually fun, or if this is just an excuse to, you know, have people outside for a while.
There's not much of a game to it. You can go to these like gyms and you can battle to like be at the top of the gym, and then like other people can come and try and knock you off the gym. And
Well,
the
I mean,
actual
like
game
Foursquare.
itself is
Yeah, exactly.
but you're just like swiping a little bit. Like there's not much to the actual game side of it.
so I feel like I'm a little bit of an Ebenezer Scrooge when it comes to this game, because like I feel like I woke up one morning and it was just like Pokemon exploded all over every social media thing and everyone was going nuts over it, and I just didn't really see the point of it. For me, I feel very comfortable with my game/life balance. I don't need the two to mix. I like being able to sit at home in my space and play games, and then when I go out and I'm active and I'm doing other things, that's great. So when I like loaded up this app and I like caught my first Pokemon and I was like, great, and then it was like the next one I had to leave my house, I was like, what?
Yeah, that is
Uninstall.
That is so true that it goes, okay, now stand up and walk and you'll see your trainer walk. I was like, or I could spin around on the chair and just see him do that as well.
And I think also it's just because I didn't have that connection to Pokemon when I was a kid. I didn't really play it much when I was younger.
I'm exactly the same. I was not a Pokemon kid, so for me it's not wish fulfillment, it's walking outside.
My parents were very anti-gaming. I didn't have any of that kind of nostalgia attached to, you know, the experiences I had when I was a child, and I wonder if maybe that is a big part of why I'm not connecting with this.
I resisted installing it for a while, and then suddenly I am walking around
It was
at
the
11
Pokefomo,
p.m.
the Pokefomo.
The Pokefomo got me. But what really got me was like seeing like couples walking around, like going on little Pokemon walk dates, and then like seeing all those big walks that people were doing in the city and then like all over the country. I'm like, there's something magical happening here. I don't quite understand it. I still don't think I quite get it yet. This is really interesting.
Built into the app is a lot of things that I think is really clever in getting people to talk about it. You can take the picture of your Pokemon in your house or on the street or whatever. That's instantly shareable. People are taking pictures of Pokemon in funny places.
It's personal because it's your house.
Exactly.
You know, people in the foreground and background.
Exactly. And like you said, people going on walks together and doing like all that sort of. I feel like the really clever part of this is all the sharing and the socialness about it, not the game.
It's that recognition, isn't it? When you're walking past someone in the street, you see that like blue light. They've got their phone out. You're like, I know what you're doing. Do you find any?
You see people kind of congregating in spaces where you know there are. The thing that I think is so funny though is that all those articles that we've seen that have come out about people discovering dead bodies and things while playing this game. Or the best one I saw was a sign on the shop of the door of, I think it was a deli, and it said Pokemon for paying customers only, because obviously people have been going into this shop to catch some like Zubat or something like that and not buying anything. And this
the muggings
proprietor's
is weird.
gotten frustrated and just been like, that's it.
That's so funny. And then also there was a guy, he lives in an old church. And so the gyms become, the gyms are used on real world environments, so they're sort of big, significant
Landmarks
buildings,
and stuff,
landmarks and stuff. He lives in an old church. According to Google Maps, that's still a church. So Pokemon then went, oh no, we're gonna put a gym there. So his house is now a gym. So there's all these people coming to his house and hanging out on his front lawn, and he can't ungym himself.
Burn it down virtually.
All right, well, we actually spoke to Archit from Niantic just before Pokemon Go was unleashed on the world, and I think getting people out and making it a social experience was definitely one of their aims.
Our internal team mission is to build technology that enables adventures on foot. We want gamers to go out and play, and when it's a beautiful sunny day like this, we want them to explore their city, go out, get those endorphins going, meet other people, and have social fun outside, and also get moving, i.e. be fit. So that's our mission, to get gamers moving, not just sit on a couch and play all day. One of the core principles of the game is to help people just go to interesting places in their city and play. You're not an avatar that's playing with something in a screen. You're actually yourself the avatar. You're the one that's playing. You're the one that's physically going, by the ocean and catching Squirtle on a console, on a TV or a computer. There's a certain amount of, fun that you get from it, and it's super fun. I mean, I love console games myself, but if you actually go out physically and do stuff, that's pretty cool. And because this is going to be a mobile game, it's going to be, updated regularly. It's going to evolve. Just like Ingress, when Ingress launched, it was a pretty different game from what it looks right now. The core mechanics were the same, but we've added so much more gameplay since launch. So it's going to be the same with Pokemon Go. We'll see how it goes. We would love to do events. We just haven't made any final decisions yet. Our hope is that millions and millions of people all over the world can play Pokemon Go, have a lot of fun experiences, try and catch them all.
It's interesting for Nintendo to have such a success on a mobile phone. They've got a new console coming out, right, which is exciting, but the Wii U didn't do so well. So now that this has exploded so much, I'm really keen to see where Mario goes on a phone, or any other of their big brands, and how that affects the zeitgeist of Nintendo playing.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see where they head in terms of the kind of content they put on phones, because based off the Pokemon Go, their stock jumped by 30% in the space of 4 or 5 days. Hopefully what they don't take from that is people want shallow experiences. I really hope that what they take is people want to see IPs that you've created and sort of nurtured on these phones, because I think, like you've said, there's so much opportunity for awesome Nintendo games on the phone. I just hope that not everything we see is Miitomo and Pokemon Go. I know they've said that it's not going to be, but Nintendo lie to us all the time.
Here we go. Gonna catch you. Yes. Got it.
All right, well, from one mobile game, which is quite the phenomenon, we're going to look at a locally developed one. So here's Goose.
So Tim, you guys run Sleepyhead Studios. Tell me a bit about that.
Sleepyhead is a team of 4 currently. I'm the programmer and project manager. We've got Matt Borowski. He does some programming as well. Tom Booker. He's doing concept art for us at the moment. He's been our technical artist in the past. Lincoln, he's worked a lot on our mechanics and balancing, but as with everyone else, he's dabbled in technical art and graphics and stuff like that. We started straight out of uni. We all went to uni together and we all majored in game design. We just shared a lot of classes and sometimes chose to work with each other, and other times we just lucked out and got matched up for certain
group
projects
assignments.
and stuff.
It was all group assignments, wasn't it?
A lot of group assignments. When it came to forming the major project team, we made it what we thought was a super group at the time.
Yeah.
We were really happy with the result. It was received really well, so we thought we'd try it commercially after graduating, and here we are.
So you guys have just had your first official release. Give me the elevator pitch.
Barking Irons is a Wild West shooting gallery game. It's pixel art in 2D, and it's got a drag and release shooting mechanic. The scenes are generated ahead of you, and it's essentially play till you die kind of gameplay. And we wanted to focus on competing with your friends, so there's a big focus on the high scores and global leaderboards and stuff like that. And,
cool.
And that's paid off pretty well.
And what's it been like finishing a game and getting it out there?
Finishing it took a lot longer than we anticipated. It's a learning process, and we learnt, if every mistake is a lesson, we learnt a lot of lessons working on the game.
It's a really good way to put it.
Coming out of it post-release, we're a stronger team for it, and we know what to do going into the next project. I think the fact that we got it on the store and we've sold a few copies and it's been received really well, that's enough for us to call it a success, and we're going to continue just trying to improve it over time as well.
And how much infighting was there?
We discuss things to really the nth degree, and it's just sometimes it gets just heated. That's as far as it gets. But it also, makes us all stronger.
So whose idea was it to come into a creative space and actually set up an office rather than work from home?
It was a decision we made basically because we were working out of my kitchen at the time. Not a lot of work was getting done. We needed a space to call our own. It was a bit of a tricky decision because it's a financial decision, and we didn't have income coming in from any games or anything. But it's really validating to feel like you've taken the next step as a studio.
Are you doing full-time jobs at the same time, or is this full-time for you guys?
2 days a week is our absolute dedicated 100% come in face-to-face time. Then there's whenever you can throughout the week, because the other guys are doing second jobs. I'm not. I'm doing this full-time, and my girlfriend supports me at the moment. But yeah, these guys, they work whenever they can, which might be very strange hours for them, but this is the job, and the other ones just pays the bills.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a lot of these. I've got like five phones, all with shattered screens for testing and everything that we've collected off friends and family.
Is there someone that takes charge of that sort of marketing side of things, or is that something you guys are still learning as you go?
Yeah, we're just trying our best. We're reaching out to all sorts of people, but it's all us, and it's on a budget of basically $0. You know, there's only so far that takes you. The most effective for us so far has just been word of mouth and having positive reviews and having people talk about it positively. It is daunting taking on something that we haven't done before, but we hadn't done a mobile game before Barking Irons, so I think if you're not scared, then you're not necessarily growing. Yeah, we're going to try and challenge ourselves, and with each game, try something a little bit bigger or scarier. Just keep making games until hopefully we start to make a bit of money and can afford to expand.
We don't know what we're doing. We just want to make cool games. So, you know, everything around that.
Let's go with that as the tagline.
Yeah. What we're doing. We just want to make cool games.
Yeah.
Thanks, Goose. Now let's travel down below and listen to the Song of the Deep.
Merrin loved the sea. At night, her father sang her songs about his great adventures. He sang of giant leviathan serpents, haunted caves, and a lost city of gold beneath the sea. Merrin knew the stories weren't real, but she loved to listen to them. She drifted off to sleep.
Song of the Deep is a story about Merrin, a 12-year-old girl who lives with her father by the sea. At night, he would tell her fantastic stories of ancient underwater cities and terrifying creatures.
But one night, Merrin's father doesn't come home, so naturally she builds a tiny and adorable submarine to go and look for him.
She hammered and bolted, she measured and sawed.
She quickly learns that all of his stories were all true.
This underwater platformer is from developer Insomniac Games, the makers of Sunset Overdrive and Ratchet & Clank. But it is by a smaller team within Insomniac and a passion project for Chief Creative Officer Brian Hastings. He said he wanted to create a character that my daughter could look up to, not for what she looked like, but for who she was. And Merrin is a resilient, persistent girl facing a world of unknown mystery and danger.
This kind of puzzle platformer is quite different to the games we usually play because it takes place entirely underwater, which adds a lot of interface complications. And Hex, you know how I feel about underwater levels and underwater games.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
I don't like them, Hex. They're usually laggy, horrible affairs, with the exception of Echo the Dolphin. But Song of the Deep has a lot of charm, so I'll push my underwater bias deep down for now.
Go into the open ocean with an open mind, Bajo. This is a Metroidvania-style side-scroller. And that means the levels are full of environmental puzzles and barriers that you can see but can't initially bypass. You slowly unlock core abilities, which then open up new sections of the map, as well as allow you to track back and nab all of those little items that you couldn't reach before. So there's plenty of rewarding exploration.
I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Metroid-style games, Hex, because, you know, I just hate it when I can see something that I want to get and there's a barrier and I know I can't yet and I'm gonna have to come back later and get it. Oh, just give me it now, give me it. I get frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but for me it just triggers that desire to, you know, really crack the game's puzzles. They've done such a great job of making everything really clear with this game, so the moment you do unlock a piece of gear or ability to get past a barrier, then you know exactly what you have to do and where to go. And that's not always the case with these games.
Yeah, and you don't need to collect every coin and gem that's in the game, but those submarine upgrades are so good. Soon you acquire a magnetic claw, which allows you to drag objects.
She took out her tools and attached it to a firing mechanism on her steering column.
Smash through weak walls, and fight off jellyfish. Side note, jellyfish are the only thing I didn't like in Echo the Dolphin, and they're just as annoying here. Jellyfish? Why are they so aggressive, Hex?
You're invading their marine space, I guess.
Oh, chill out.
Your hook can also be upgraded and it becomes a very important part of your arsenal. Eventually, you obtain and upgrade a boost to help fight undersea currents, a torpedo, a magma mine, a freeze torpedo, and sonar, which can be used to shatter glass. The best part about all these upgrades, though, is how they're used in such surprising and clever ways.
Yeah, the drip feed of these upgrades is just right, and it's a big part of what pulls you through this game. You get this constant stream of little rewards, which immediately get explored and exploited within nearby puzzles, such as freezing mines and guiding them to breakable walls or switches, rebuilding statues to open doors, or leaving the sub altogether to scrape away barnacles or redirect light.
Reflecting light in games. You know, it'd been almost long enough between light reflection puzzles for me to be ready for another one, Bajo, but not quite. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. I didn't mind them though. And I actually really enjoyed the ones in this kind of mechanical changing security station section with adorable mechanical turtles.
Scaring a turtle into its shell appeared to cause the beams of that color to shut off.
Yeah, actually that section was pretty clever. In fact, almost all of the puzzles are fun to solve because the solutions always feel within your grasp and they're rarely fiddly. This is helped by physics and controls which still give you the feeling of being submerged under the sea, but with enough responsiveness to get everything done. That said, there are still one or two maddening moments though, aren't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the section with these indestructible squids that are terrifying and will not stop chasing you, to the point where I actually thought the game might be bugging out as they seem to come through walls.
I struggled to enjoy some of the lengthier combat sections. There aren't many of them, but at times you're locked in a room or a boss fight or a wave mode and it's tough. It's those moments where that old school punishing vibe creeps in.
Yeah, they were hard. The combat isn't the strongest part of this game, and I'd say it's actually more fun to play this on easy, just to get through those sections quicker.
Yeah, I do like that most of the combat is a puzzle within itself though, it's not just shoot all the things.
Me too, and letting rip with those torpedoes is super satisfying. But despite a few frustrating sections, like dragging those bombs around to like blow up the walls, why would you do that? Besides those, I was really impressed with this.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, as you say, there are some frustrating sections, but every time I put this down, I ended up just not being able to stop thinking about it, and then I would pick it up again.
Yeah, dare I say it, Hex, this game won me over so much, I grew to love it. And it was because the more I played, the more the complexity of the puzzles and overall design started to reveal itself. And over time, I found a deeper appreciation for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a passion project. You can feel the love that's gone into creating every section of this complex world.
And I love the feeling of this game too. You know, you're always pushing against the current, making meaningful progress, but slowly.
Yeah, visually too. I mean, the world opens up the more that you play. Especially that abandoned clockwork feel to the cities and the few moments you get to zoom about in the wide ocean. So, Bajo, is this the first underwater game since Echo the Dolphin that you've actually really liked?
I think it might be, Hex. You know, despite those jellyfish and the scariest underwater dog companion thing that has ever been created.
Just a funny-looking little sea serpent. A baby Leviathan.
Song of the Deep's charm totally won me over. I'm giving it 4 stars.
It's 3.5 from me. So, did you name the game for this week? It was Pepsi Man from 1999 on the first PlayStation. This Japanese-developed action game based on the soft drink mascot had you dodging obstacles to reach your destination, which was usually someone dying of thirst. Of course! And it was named the game because one of the game's 3D modelers, Kotaro Uchikoshi, was the writer and director of this week's Zero Time Dilemma.
Amazing. Next week on the show, we force ourselves to uninstall Pokemon Go so we can go and hunt some bigger monsters in Monster Hunter Generation.
Plus, we'll slice our way through the rather striking-looking necropolis.
You know what, Hex? I'm going to uninstall it right now.
Good for you.
Bajo out.
Hex out.
Just after I catch this Zubat that's hovering around.
No! It's a scourge on humanity!
How very dare you.